Why is it that no matter what you do, there's always a quiet voice telling you it's not enough, not good enough, not fast enough, not impressive enough? You felt it in the silence after you finished something you thought would finally bring peace, only to realize the feeling fades before it even begins. This isn't about success or failure, or even comparison. It's deeper than that. It's in the way you lie awake at night, replaying conversations, wishing you'd said something different. It's in the way you second-guess even small choices, as if the wrong one might expose you as a fraud. It's in the way praise slides off you like water, but criticism cuts straight to the bone. Here's the hidden truth. This voice that tells you you're not enough was never yours. It was planted. Maybe in the way love felt conditional. Maybe in the subtle silences when you didn't perform the way someone expected. Maybe in the countless little moments when you learned that who you are isn't as valuable as what you do. And so the pattern begins. You chase approval, but can't absorb it. You build identities, but can't rest in them. You keep moving, achieving, striving, not because you're ambitious, but because stopping feels dangerous. Because in the stillness, the question you've been avoiding rises to the surface. If I'm not doing, if I'm not performing, if I'm not proving, am I still enough? That's the question we're going to face here. Not with empty affirmations or quick fixes, but by going straight to the root of why enough has always felt out of reach, and why, despite everything you've been told, it was never meant to be earned in the first place. Because the truth is, when you're living under the weight of never enough, even success itself can start to feel like suffocation. There's a pattern running your life that you can't see because it's been there so long it feels like breathing. It starts the moment you wake up. That automatic scan for what's expected of you today. Who needs you to be what? Which version of yourself will earn the least friction? In relationships, you've become a master translator. You read the room before you enter it. Calibrate your energy to match what others can handle. Laugh at jokes that don't amuse you. Agree with opinions that make your chest tighten. You've learned to make yourself smaller so others can feel comfortable. And you've gotten so good at it, you don't even notice anymore. At work, you wear competence like armor. Never let them see you uncertain. Never ask the question that might reveal you don't belong. You've mastered the art of being impressive while feeling like an imposter, successful while spiritually starving. In quiet moments, you catch yourself performing even when no one's watching, rehearsing conversations that haven't happened yet, editing your thoughts before they fully form. You've become the curator of your own experience, and somewhere along the way, you forgot what your uncurated self even looks like. The exhaustion isn't from working too hard. It's from the constant labor of being acceptable, of editing yourself in real time, of living as if your authentic self is too much, too little, too wrong for this world. And the cruelest part, you've gotten so skilled at this performance that others praise you for qualities that don't even belong to you. They love the mask, but what about the face underneath? Why does this feel so familiar? Because this pattern didn't start yesterday. It started the first time your authenticity met disapproval, and you learned that love was conditional on being someone else. You were 7, maybe 8, when you first learned that being yourself had consequences. Maybe it was the day you cried and someone told you to toughen up, or when your excitement was met with calm down. Perhaps it was subtler, the way faces changed when you spoke your truth, how conversations shifted when you entered as yourself. You didn't do this because you were weak. You did it because you were intelligent. Your young mind, brilliant in its adaptability, solved a complex social equation. Authentic self plus honest expression equals rejection, disappointment, or withdrawal of love. So you learn to subtract yourself from the equation. The masks you wear aren't character flaws, they're survival strategies. That people-pleasing tendency, it kept you safe in families where conflict meant chaos. The perfectionism that exhausts you, it earned you approval when nothing else would. The way you minimize your needs, it taught you that taking up less space meant being hurt less often. But here's what your brilliant, protective younger self couldn't foresee. The strategies that saved you then are suffocating you now. The walls you built to keep pain out are keeping life out too. The performance that earned love is preventing intimacy. The careful editing that kept you safe is keeping you separate, even from yourself. You learned to read the room so well that you forgot how to feel your own presence in it. You became so fluent in what others needed that your own voice grew hoarse from disuse. The very intelligence that protected you created a prison so comfortable you barely noticed the bars. And now you're successful, responsible, admired, and hollow. Because success built on the suppression of self isn't success. It's sophisticated self-abandonment. The emptiness you feel isn't evidence that something's wrong with you. It's evidence that something essential is missing. You, the real you, the one who learned to hide so well, even you can't find them anymore. And that's what will start to shift in the next few minutes. What if the emptiness isn't a problem to solve, but a messenger you've been ignoring? What if that hollow ache is your soul's way of saying, I'm still here, I'm still waiting. When will you come home to me? The existential weight you carry isn't punishment for ingratitude. It's the natural consequence of living in exile from yourself, your authentic self, the one who feels deeply, wants boldly, speaks truthfully, hasn't disappeared. It's been in solitary confinement, and it's getting restless. Every time you choose approval over authenticity, you're choosing a kind of death. Small daily deaths of dreams deferred, truths unspoken, desires denied. No wonder your spirit feels tired. It's been holding its breath for years, waiting for permission to exhale. But here's the shift that changes everything. What if disappointing others is the price of delighting your soul? What if the people who can't handle your truth aren't your people? What if the life that looks perfect from the outside is the very life keeping you from feeling alive on the inside? The courage you need isn't the courage to be perfect. It's the courage to be imperfect, publicly, gracefully, to let your voice crack when you speak your truth, to disappoint the versions of you that others have grown comfortable with, to risk being misunderstood in service of being known. This isn't about becoming selfish or reckless. It's about becoming honest, about trading the exhausting labor of being impressive for the radical rest of being real, about choosing the discomfort of growth over the agony of staying small. Your authentic self isn't hiding because it's wrong. It's hiding because it's been told it's too much, too intense, too raw for this sanitized world. But what if the world needs exactly that rawness? What if your unedited truth is the gift someone else is desperately waiting to receive? The emptiness is your soul demanding liberation, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when everyone's ready for the real you. Now. But what if this clarity is only the surface of something more powerful waiting in the shadows? There's a part of you that terrifies you, not because it's evil, but because it's ungovernable. Carl Jung called it the shadow, everything you've deemed unacceptable about yourself, everything you've pushed into the basement of consciousness, your anger, your selfishness, your hunger for more than you're supposed to want. You've spent so much energy keeping this shadow locked away that you've forgotten it's not your enemy. It's your exiled power. Every quality you've rejected about yourself contains the seeds of something you desperately need. That anger you're so afraid of, it's your boundaries trying to form. The selfishness you judge, it's self-preservation wearing an ugly mask. The hunger you deny, it's your life force refusing to settle for scraps. The shadow doesn't want to destroy your life, it wants to complete it. But as long as you're running from these aspects of yourself, you're running from wholeness. As long as you're trying to be only light, you're living as a half person in a full world. The existential dread you feel isn't random, it's your shadow knocking, asking when you'll stop pretending it doesn't exist. It knows you're tired of being good all the time. It knows you're hungry for experiences beyond the narrow corridor of acceptability you've built for yourself. What if the darkness isn't something to overcome, but something to integrate? What if the parts of you that make you uncomfortable are actually the parts that hold your creative fire, your passion, your ability to say no when you mean no, and yes when you mean yes? The shadow doesn't ask you to become destructive. It asks you to become complete, to stop editing yourself into a character so bland that even you find yourself boring, to reclaim the full spectrum of your humanity, the light and the dark, the saint and the sinner, the giver and the taker. When you befriend your shadow, something miraculous happens. You stop being afraid of yourself. You stop performing goodness because that you're no longer terrified of your badness. You become integrated, whole, real. And if you stop running from it, you won't lose yourself. You'll reclaim yourself. This is the moment when something inside you finally exhales. When the pressure you didn't even know you were carrying begins to release. You realize you've been holding yourself to standards that no human could meet, while trying to be loved for qualities that aren't even yours. The path forward isn't more discipline, more perfection, more careful curation of who you are. It's less performing, less hiding, less apologizing for taking up space. It's the radical act of showing up as you are, not as you think you should be. What would happen if you stopped trying to be the person everyone could love and started being the person you could live with? What if you stopped editing your thoughts, your desires, your dreams to fit into spaces that were never meant for your full self? You don't need permission to want what you want. You don't need permission to feel what you feel. You don't need permission to disappoint people who only love carefully edited versions of you. The only permission you need is the one you can give yourself. Permission to be human, messy, complex, and real. The emptiness begins to fill, not when you achieve more, but when you pretend less. Not when you become perfect, but when you become honest. Not when you fix yourself, but when you stop treating yourself like something broken. Your soul isn't asking you to be extraordinary. It's asking you to be true, to speak with your voice, not the one you think others want to hear, to want what you want without apology, to feel what you feel without shame, to exist without constantly justifying your existence. This is how you come home to yourself, one honest moment at a time, one unedited conversation, one decision made from desire rather than duty. One breath taken without performing goodness for an audience that was never really watching anyway. So if you've been waiting for permission to be yourself, this might be it. The revolution isn't loud. There are no manifestos, no declarations, no dramatic announcements. It happens in the quiet moments when you choose truth over comfort. When you let your voice shake as you say something real, when you disappoint someone gently rather than betray yourself violently, It happens when you realize that the life you've been trying so hard to live perfectly has been keeping you from living at all. When you understand that the existential dread wasn't a sign of something wrong with your life, it was a sign of something missing from it. You. The emptiness wasn't punishment, it was invitation. Your soul's way of saying, I know you're scared, but I'm still here. I know you've forgotten me, but I remember you. I know you think I'm too much for this world, but what if the world is waiting for exactly what I have to offer? You are not too much. You never were. You're not too sensitive, too intense, too complicated, too human. You've just been trying to fit into spaces that were too small for your spirit. You've been trying to love people who could only handle your surface, while your depths remained untouched, unseen, unknown. But now you know. The ache wasn't emptiness. It was fullness that had nowhere to go. The restlessness wasn't dissatisfaction. It was life force demanding expression. The shadow wasn't your enemy. It was your completion waiting in the wings. This is your invitation to stop living in the margins of your own existence, to stop being a guest in your own life, to come home to yourself not as you think you should be, but as you actually are, beautifully flawed, perfectly imperfect, gloriously, unapologetically human. The world doesn't need another perfect person. It needs someone brave enough to be real in a world of performances, someone willing to be ordinary in their authenticity rather than extraordinary in their facade. That someone has been you all along. You've just been waiting for permission that was always yours to give. In the end, the deepest revolution isn't changing the world. It's allowing the world to meet who you've always been underneath the masks. And in that meeting, both you and the world become more whole.